The phone rang at 2:17 a.m. Emily's voice broke through, soaked in blood and terror. "Grandma, he beat me until my ribs cracked because I won't let his friend fuck me." Rick had her by the throat, slammed her face first into the fridge, roared that she lives in his house so she spreads when he says. Carl sat on the couch, pants open, stroking himself while he watched. Rick ripped her shirt, threw her to the floor. Boot to the ribs, crack. Boot again, crack, again. She pissed blood. Carl laughed. Hit her harder. Rick grabbed her hair, yanked her head back, punched her mouth until teeth snapped and blood poured. She spat a broken tooth at him and screamed, "Never!" He punched until her cheekbone caved. He tore her jeans to her knees. Carl stood, belt loose. They dragged her toward the bedroom, nails clawing the floor, snapping off, leaving bloody streaks. Rick stomped her fingers until they crunched. She bit his ankle, tore flesh, tasted him. He kicked her face, nose exploded across her cheek. Carl pried her thighs, fingers bruising deep. She kneed his ball so hard he vomited. Rick kneed her chest, pinned her, hissed, "You're fucking Carl tonight or I kill you here." She spat blood in his eyes. He screamed. 1 second free. She rolled, snatched the kitchen knife, slashed his forearm to the bone. Meat flapped, blood gushed. She ran barefoot over broken glass, shards slicing deep, blood printing every step. 8 blocks, lungs burning, ribs stabbing, face swelling shut. Police station doors, collapsed, blood pooled fast. Cops saw the purple handprints on her throat, belt stripes across her back, bite marks on her shoulder, fingerprints bruised into her thighs. She choked. "Stepdad tried to sell me to his friend, beat me when I said no." Rick arrested 20 minutes later, still bleeding from the arm she opened. Carl gone, phone seized. Text glowed sick. $50 and she's yours all night. Make her bleed, I love the crying. Break her in first. Emily sat shaking, blood crusting black, one eye swollen shut. Whispered, "He said next time he kills me if I don't open my legs for Carl." I held her. Broken ribs ground against me. She vomited blood down my shirt. Hospital counted 14 fresh bruises, 3 cracked ribs, split scalp stapled, jaw wired, nose reset. She stared at the ceiling whispering, "I said no, and he tried to kill me for it." Rick made bail next morning, 3:12 a.m., the house phone rang. His voice on voicemail, "This isn't over, cunt. Carl's still waiting. I'll drag her back by the throat." Emily heard it, pissed the bed, shook so hard the frame rattled. She slept with the kitchen knife under her pillow, blade against her cheek. Every car outside was them. Every shadow was Carl reaching. Rick's trial 6 weeks away. Carl still missing. She wakes screaming every night, tasting blood that isn't there. Looks at me with dead eyes and says, "If they get me again, I won't survive it." She stopped eating, lost 20 pounds in 9 days. Nightmares dragged her from bed. She stood in the hall clutching the knife, whispering, "They're inside." Found her rocking, nails dug into her arms, drawing blood. Letter from jail slid under the door midnight. Polaroid of her sleeping in the hospital bed, taken through the window. Back a photo in red. "Sleep tight. CNR." She screamed until her throat tore, blood speckled the walls. We moved 3 states that day. New names. She still checks locks 40 times, still sleeps with the knife. Cuts her own thighs now, just to feel something that isn't his hands. Scars ladder her legs white and angry. Showers scalding, scrubbing until skin bleeds. Still smells Rick's sweat and Carl's cigarettes when she closes her eyes. Detectives called. Found Carl dead in a motel bathtub, wrists open to the bone. Note, "She cut me deeper." Rick laughed in visitation until he pissed himself. Emily smiled once, then vomited until her stomach tore. Still flinches when men speak loud. Still scans every face for Carl's dead eyes. Still wakes tasting blood. Still whispers in sleep, "I said no. Why wasn't that enough?" We burned the old house the night we left. I poured gasoline. Flames ate the rooms where it happened. Emily stood barefoot in the grass, knife in hand, blood dripping from fresh cuts. Roof collapsed. She caught an ash on her tongue and said, "Tastes like him." Drove east until sunrise, red as the blood under her nails. She slept with the knife on her lap, fingers white around the handle. Every bump she jerked awake, gasping, "They're here." New town, new locks, new knives under every pillow. She still doesn't sleep without light. Still checks under the bed for Carl's body, still counts my breaths to make sure I'm not Rick. Some nights she crawls into my bed, shaking, whispers, "Hold me until my ribs break again, at least I'll know it's you." I hold her until dawn. Her heart hammers like it wants out. 1 week ago the phone rang again at 2:17 a.m. Unknown number. She answered. Heavy breathing. Rick calm. Carl says, "Hi from hell. My turn next." Click. She dropped the phone and sliced her forearm, wrist to elbow, before I could stop her. Blood hit the floor in ropes. I tied my belt so tight my hands went numb. She looked at me empty and said, "Let me bleed out." They always win. Ambulance, stitches, psych hold. Woke strapped down screaming my name. Released silent, eyes dead. Yesterday she bought a 38, sleeps with it under the pillow now. Says when Rick comes, she'll put it in her mouth and pull so he can't touch her again. I hide the bullets. She finds them. Mail came today. White envelope. Polaroid of her asleep last night taken from inside the room. Red pen on back. See you soon. Love, R. She looked at it, screamed raw until blood dripped from her mouth onto the picture, smiled through it and said, "Come get me then, motherfucker." Loaded the gun. Sat in the dark living room facing the door. I sat beside her holding her hand. We waited. 2:16 a.m. 2:17 a.m. Phone rang. Rick's laugh. Then a cymbal shot from the backyard. We ran out. Nothing. Just a recorder on the porch playing his laugh on loop. Tape ended with his real voice close through the screen. Wrong window, bitches. Emily raised the gun to her temple. I grabbed it. We fought. It fired. Bullet took a chunk of wall. She collapsed, begging, "Why won't you let me die?" I held her on the floor while she sobbed blood and begged for the end. Dawn came silent. No more sounds. Yet. She's sedated now, gun melted, new bars on windows. Same terror, same waiting, same blood under her nails that will never wash out. Same whisper every hour. He's coming, he's coming, he's coming. And he is. The only question is who bleeds out first. 2:17 a.m. again. The new phone rang with a blocked number, and Emily answered before I could rip it from the wall. Rick's voice crawled out like smoke under a door. "You burned my house, old woman. I'm going to burn her face off while you watch." Click. She dropped the phone and walked straight to the kitchen drawer, pulled out the biggest carving knife we owned, and pressed the tip under her left eye. "If he wants my face, I'll give it to him in pieces first." I wrestled the blade away. Blood ran from her cheek where the tip had already kissed skin. She laughed, high and cracked, then puked pure bile on the tiles. 3 nights later, the power went out at exactly 2:17. Every light dead, house black as a grave. Emily was already up, gun in one hand, knife in the other, standing at the front window. She whispered, "Listen." Footsteps on the roof, slow, deliberate, tiles creaking under weight, then scratching at the bedroom window like nails dragging down glass. She raised the gun. I grabbed her wrist. Could be a raccoon. She turned, eyes wild. Raccoons don't whisper my name. The scratching stopped, silence thick enough to choke on. Then the doorbell rang once. We didn't move. It rang again, 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 faster, like fists pounding. Emily walked to the door, gun up. I begged her to stop. She unlocked it, yanked it open. Nothing there, just darkness and cold air. On the welcome mat sat a single Polaroid. Her, sleeping 2 hours ago, mouth open, drool on the pillow. Someone had stood over her bed tonight. We called the cops. They searched, found footprints on the roof, boot treads in the mud under her window, and a used condom knotted and tossed in the bushes, still warm. DNA rush came back 48 hours later. Not Rick, not Carl. Someone new. The detective's exact words, "Looks like Rick sold her location to settle a jail debt. You've got a fresh hunter now." Emily laughed until she coughed blood. "I'm a fucking timeshare." That night she didn't sleep. She sat on the porch in the freezing rain, gun across her lap, waiting. At 4:03 a.m., headlights crawled past slow, no plates, windows blacked out, stopped in front of the house, engine idling. She stood up soaking wet, walked into the road, raised the gun and fired 3 shots into the windshield. Glass exploded, car reversed fast, tires screaming, gone. Cops found the vehicle abandoned 10 miles away, blood on the driver's seat, a lot, and a note taped to the steering wheel in red marker. "Tell her next time I won't miss her heart." She started talking to the empty rooms. "Come on then, come finish it." She left the front door unlocked on purpose, left the lights off, left a trail of her own blood from the porch to her bedroom, dripping from fresh cuts on her arms. Bait. I begged her to stop. She looked at me calm and cold. "I'm tired of running, Grandma. Let him come. One of us dies tonight." He came at 2:17 exactly. Back door splintered open, heavy boots on the wood. Emily stood in the hallway, naked, gun in one hand, knife in the other, blood running down her legs from the cuts. The man stepped into the moonlight. Ski mask. Bigger than Rick. Knife twice the size of hers. He didn't speak, just rushed her. She fired. Click. Empty. She had taken the bullets out of herself earlier and scattered them in the yard so I wouldn't find them. He laughed behind the mask, voice muffled, grabbed her throat, slammed her into the wall so hard pictures fell and shattered. Knife came up fast. I came from the side with the cast iron skillet, hit him across the temple, crack like a melon. He dropped, Mask slipped. Face I didn't know. Young, eyes rolled white. Blood poured from his head onto Emily's bare feet. She stared down at him, breathing hard, then knelt and carved a slow X across his cheek with her knife, while he gurgled. Tell Rick his debt's paid now. Cops took the body. Attempted murder, home invasion, the works. DNA said the dead man was a lifer from the same prison block as Rick. Rick had put her on a list. 10 grand to whoever brought her back alive, 20 if she screamed the whole ride. Emily sat in the police station, wrapped in a blanket, blood still between her toes, and asked the detective one question. How many more are on that list? He wouldn't look at her. We don't know yet. She smiled for the first time in months, slow and sharp. Good. I'm just getting started. That night she cleaned the knife with bleach, reloaded the gun with hollow points, and packed a bag. Black clothes, duct tape, zip ties, bolt cutters. She kissed my cheek, left a note on the table. Going hunting. Lock the door. Don't wait up. I found the prison visitor log online 2 days later. Someone using my name had signed in to see Rick yesterday. The signature was Emily's handwriting. Security footage showed a woman in a hoodie walking out of the prison gate, calm as death. No one stopped her. Phone rang at 2:17 a.m. again. This time it was Rick, voice shaking for the first time ever. Call her off, please. She's in here. She's already inside. Screaming in the background, wet sounds, gurgles. Then Emily's voice, soft and sweet against his ear. You wanted me to open my legs for your friends. How's it feel having something ripped open for me? A single shot. Line went dead. Next morning the news said inmate Richard Allen found in his cell, throat cut ear to ear, castrated, eyes carved out. Message written on the wall in his blood. I said no. Emily came home 3 days later, covered in someone else's blood, smiling like the old little girl I used to know. She dropped a prison shank on the table, kissed my forehead, and said, List is shorter now. Then she went to shower for 4 hours. Water ran red the whole time. She hasn't had a nightmare since. She sleeps like the dead now. Gun under the pillow, knife under the mattress. Waiting for the next name, waiting for 217. It always comes, and now she answers it with a smile.
4 hours later, the local news broke in with a live report. A man found hanging from his own ceiling fan, gutted from sternum to groin, intestines looped around his neck like a noose, tongue nailed to the coffee table. On the wall in blood, for Chloe. Cops said he'd been alive when it started. Took him 2 hours to die. His 7-year-old daughter slept in the next room the whole time, never woke up. Emily walked in at 6:42 a.m., carrying a box of donuts and a chocolate milk. Hands clean. Smiled at me like nothing happened. Powdered sugar or glazed. The list was down to 5 names now. She kept it taped inside the cereal cabinet. Red X through every dead one. She crossed the new one off with a fresh marker while eating cereal straight from the box. Milk dripped pink. She noticed me staring. He cried pretty, she said. Almost let him keep his tongue. Next night, she didn't leave the house. She sat on the porch instead, rocking slow, gun on her lap, waiting. At 2:17 exactly, a black van rolled up silent. No lights. 4 doors opened. 4 men stepped out. Ski masks. Rifles. They spread out, moving toward the house like they'd practiced. Emily never moved. Just raised one hand and flicked on the porch light. Every bulb in the yard exploded alive, blinding white. The men froze. She stood up slow. You're early. Then she pressed a button on the remote in her pocket. The yard erupted. Homemade claymores wired over the grass, nails and ball-bearing shredded legs. Screams cut the night. 2 men dropped instantly, thighs open to bone, arterial spray painting the sidewalk red. The other 2 tried to run. Emily walked down the steps, calm, gun up. Pop, pop. Kneecaps gone. They crawled, dragging blood trails. She stood over the first one, pulled his mask off, recognized him from the prison visiting room. Rick's old cellmate. You were supposed to bring me back alive, she said. He begged through blood bubbles. She knelt, kissed his forehead, then slid the knife slow across his throat, ear to ear, watched his eyes while the light left them. The last one tried to crawl away. She stepped on his back, pinned him, and carved the word N-O into his forehead, one letter at a time. Took her 4 minutes. He was still screaming when she finished. She left him alive for the crows. Cops came, found the carnage, found the camera she'd set up, streaming the whole thing live to the dark web with the caption, "Rick's List. Who's next?" Views hit 6 million before they shut it down. Emily was already gone, back door open, note on the table. Clean up on aisle 4. Love you. She came home 2 days later, dragging a man by his hair, threw him on the kitchen floor, hands zip-tied, mouth duct tape, eyes wide with animal terror. Number 3 on the list. She made me watch while she peeled strips of skin from his chest with pliers. Slow. One by one. He passed out 6 times. She slapped him awake every time. When he had no more skin left on his torso, she looked at me and asked, "Do you still love me, Grandma?" I said yes. She smiled, kissed my cheek, then took a blowtorch to his feet until the smell of burning meat filled the house. He never screamed again after that. She finished him with the knife straight through the eye. Left the body on the porch with a bow tied around the neck, gift wrap for the next hunter. Last name on the list belonged to a guard at the prison, the one who smuggled the messages out for Rick. Emily walked into the prison the next morning in a visitor badge she printed herself. Security footage later showed her hugging the guard in the hallway, whispering in his ear. Then the camera glitched. When it came back, he was on his knees, mouth open, blood pouring. She'd cut his tongue out and made him swallow it. Then she carved her name across his face, so deep the bone showed. Guards found him still breathing, barely. He lived, can't talk anymore, can't eat solid food, pisses through a tube. Every day he stares at the mirror and sees Emily, carved forever. The list was empty now. She burned it in the sink, watched the flames eat the paper, turned to me with eyes that weren't hers anymore. "It's quiet," she whispered. First time in months, she didn't jump at shadows. First night she slept without the gun. 2:47 a.m. the phone rang one last time. She answered, smiling. A voice she hadn't heard before. Female. Soft. "You took everything from us. Now we take everything from you." Click. Emily looked at the phone, then at me, and for the first time in a year, she looked scared. Real fear, not rage, not hunger, fear. She whispered, "They're coming for you now, Grandma." She grabbed every gun, every knife, every bullet we had, boarded the windows, poured gasoline around the house in a perfect circle, sat in the living room with me between her legs, back to my chest, guns pointed at the door, waiting, rocking slow, whispering over and over, "If they touch you, I burn everything. If they touch you, I burn everything." 2:47 a.m. tomorrow hasn't come yet, but it will. And this time she's not the hunter anymore. She's the bait, and I'm the reason. The circle is closed. Blood for blood. It never ends. It just changes direction.
Every light in the house died at once. Then the windows exploded inward, glass raining like teeth. Black figures poured through, more than we could count, moving fast, silent, professional. Emily fired first. Muzzle flashes lit the room white, bodies dropped, blood misted the air. She screamed my name once, raw, animal, then shoved me hard toward the basement door. "Go, lock it." I stumbled down the stairs. She slammed the door behind me, bolted it from the inside, trapped herself with them. Upstairs, the shooting never stopped. Screams turned wet. Furniture splintered. A woman's voice rose above the chaos, calm, almost kind. "Bring the old woman. Leave the girl breathing. We want her to watch." I pressed my back to the basement door, shaking, listening to Emily fight. Knife on bone. Gun clicks empty. Flesh hitting flesh. Then her voice, broken but loud. "Touch her, and I swear I'll take every one of you with me." A single gunshot. Silence. Then footsteps, slow, coming down the stairs. The bolt slid back. The door opened. Emily stood there alone, covered head to toe in blood that wasn't all hers. One eye swollen shut again, lip split, left arm hanging wrong. She was smiling. Behind her, the living room was a slaughterhouse, bodies stacked like cordwood, walls painted red. She whispered, "They're all dead, Grandma, every last one." I looked past her and saw the woman who'd spoken, throat opened ear to ear, still twitching. Emily closed the door, locked it again, walked to the gasoline cans lined along the wall, started pouring. The smell filled the house, sharp and final. I grabbed her wrist. "We can leave. It's over." She looked at me with soft, exhausted eyes, the little girl I raised finally showing through the monster she'd become. "It's never over," she said. "They'll just send more and more until one of them gets you." She kissed my forehead, gentle, like when she was 5. "I love you. Close your eyes." She struck the match, dropped it. Flames roared up the walls, hungry, alive. She sat down in the middle of the living room floor, pulled me into her lap like I was the child now, and held me tight while the fire climbed. Heat licked our skin. Smoke choked the air black. I felt her heartbeat slow against my back. She whispered into my ear, calm, almost happy. I said no, and this time they heard me. The roof groaned, beams cracked. Flames ate everything, the blood, the bodies, the list, the house, the night itself. Last thing I remember is her arms around me, tighter than ever, and the fire singing us both to sleep. They found 2 bodies in the ashes, burned beyond recognition, holding each other. No teeth left to identify, no list left to follow, just a circle of scorched earth where a house used to be. And at exactly 2:17 a.m. the next night, every phone in the county lit up with a single text from a dead number. One line. She said no. Don't make her say it twice. Then the message erased itself, and the clocks moved on. It finally ended, in fire, in blood, in her arms, and no one ever rang 217 again.